ULEZ, the ultra-low emission zone in London. ULEZ is a scheme to reduce air pollution in London. Motorists within certain designated zones within London will have to pay a fee to drive within that zone, similar to the congestion charge in central London. The fee only applies to cars that do not meet low emission standards. These are set out by the European emission standard. The scheme was announced in 2015 by then Mayor and now ex-Tory PM Boris Johnson. The original zone was the same as the congestion charge zone in central London. The scheme was due to come into effect in 2020, but was brought forward by the current Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to 2019. Sadiq Khan has also expanded the ULEZ zone, with the most recent expansion including the majority of London within the M25. According to a study conducted by the Imperial College in London, they claim that in 2019, 4,000 people died, with air pollution being a major contributing factor, with the number of hospital admissions due to air pollution being far larger. They also suggest that a child born in 2013 could see a 6-month reduction in life expectancy. Improved air quality could contribute to the NHS saving billions and an improvement in overall life expectancy. An estimated 26% of CO2 emissions are produced by transport. The motivation behind ULEZ is to reduce air pollution by encouraging motorists to either consider upgrading to a low emissions car or consider alternative forms of transport, such as a bicycle or public transport. The Mayor of London has announced a means-tested scrappage scheme to help people who qualify to be able to get a grant to go towards the purchase of a low emissions car. This will allow them to avoid the ULEZ charge. The expansion of ULEZ has caused a large backlash. The fee per day is set at £12.50 and applies for every day of the year except Christmas. This could cost people as much as £4,550 per year. This would have a more adverse effect on the poorest people who will struggle to pay the additional daily charge or upgrade to a new car that meets the required standards. The backlash around ULEZ is seen as a reason for the recent Conservative by-election win in Uxbridge.
I don't think there's any doubt that ULEZ was the reason that we lost the by-election in Uxbridge.
ULEZ has been described by some as a war on motorists.
I do feel that as a car driver, as a motorist, I do feel slightly victimised. I mean, you can't help
And
feeling,
you're white as well.
as a motorist, that you are, you've become an unfashionable, picked-upon minority.
There has been suggestions that the effects of air pollution is overstated and the real motivation behind ULEZ is just a tax to make more money.
But just before we go, Michael, air pollution. Just for the record, it has been confirmed that one person has died from air pollution, not 4,000 as that keeps being cited. And I truly believe that the air pollution that we're being constantly drummed in, bad air pollution,
Overstated, you think?
Yeah, is scaremongering.
The protest about ULEZ are less to do with people being against clean air and more the simple fact that for a lot of people this will be unaffordable. In a way, that's the point of making the cost of driving uncomfortable so people consider alternative ways to travel, but for a lot of people there is a reluctance to change habits with a car and driving being such an ingrained part of people's lifestyles. As a caveat, I do accept that people with mobility issues, the elderly, or people whose jobs involve driving will potentially be and feel unfairly penalised by the charge. So maybe an exemption for these groups would make more sense, or for the scrappage scheme to be widened and increased for certain groups. I also feel the argument for this being of minimal impact to the wealthy is a fair point, with people above a certain level of wealth able to buy a new car or pay the charge with minimal impact on their financial situation. As an example, new sports cars would be exempt from the charge. We could tackle this with a wider congestion charge zone for people above a certain wealth threshold or for cars above a certain class regardless of its efficiency. This, in many ways, is an issue of the individual versus the collective. There seems to be minimal harm in any one person driving a car, but when you have a collective of over 33 million cars on the road, the issues mount up.
The war on the motorist.
The war on motorists is real, and it's a good thing. I believe we should be actively encouraging people to consider alternative forms of travel. There are too many cars on the road, too many people killed or seriously injured by cars, the issue of pollution and CO2 emissions, and the more trivial matter of time wasted sitting in congestion are all reasons to wage a war against cars and be pro-ULEZ.